Congratulations on completing your Play Attention onboarding session. I'm going to show you how to log in as a student. So whenever you log in as a student and you're ready to play your sessions, make sure that you log in using that student username and that student password that you set up for yourself, because we want to start to track our data. So make sure that you log in with that student username and student password. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Once you're logged in, you're going to see your game progress. And if you look to the right, you're going to get that information from the last time you played that game. It's your average, and then that's your best. And then right here, that is your game goal for that particular activity. So if you complete that game goal, you'll earn that point, and then your points accumulate right here next to your name. So for short-term memory, the last time I played, I was 86% attentive. My average is 65. My best is 96. Then you get the same information from how long you played, your laughs, your average, and your best, and then that recovery time. You click on that next activity, you're going to get that same information. And then also recognize you've got that game goal. I'm going to scroll down. And if you're tracking any self-distracting behaviors for your student, you'll be able to track them on this chart. And then we've got that journal page. So remember, this is a great time for self-reflection on that last session that you played, because every time that you log in to play those sessions, you're going to see that journal from the previous sessions. So you can take some positivity into that new session and then reflect on some things that you might have to change and what you learned from that last session. Right here, these are simple improvements that Shoe Genius is going to set for you. And then right here, that is our distraction level. That was the environment that we played in. You're going to click on Let's Play, and then you're going to come to your session games. So you've got to make sure that you complete all of your games for your session. It doesn't matter what order you complete them in, just as long as they're complete. I'm going to click on Time on Task. And then remember that we talked about those game instructions. So right here in the top right-hand corner, we're going to click on those game instructions. We're going to make sure that we read them, because as you advance from bronze to silver and then to gold, remember those games are going to change. And the only way that you are going to know how to respond to those activities is if you read those game instructions. And my game goal for time on task is complete at least 9% of the task. So I'm going to take my body wave armband. I'm going to slide it on. And if you have on long sleeves, make sure that you roll those sleeves up and make sure that those 3 sensors are touching your skin. So once it's on, I'm going to power it on. All right, so I'm going to click on play. So remember, time on tasks, we're going to see that transition screen. And time on task is going to teach us how to start a task quickly, stay actively engaged on that task, and focus until completed.
Focus.
So now I'm going to start talking to you, and you notice that the forklift driver, he stopped. So now you're going to have to focus back in to activate the activity. Okay, I'm going to escape from the game. And whenever you're done, make sure that you power off that armband. Make sure you slide it off. And then I always take a second glance at it just to make sure that it's off, because you don't want it running when it's off the body, because then it's going to try to connect to all of those Bluetooth devices that we have in our home. And then you also don't want to drain your batteries. Okay, so if if you're going to be tracking any of those self-distracting behaviors for your student, this is the behavior rating chart that's going to come up after every one of their games for their sessions. And remember, you're going to be tracking those behaviors as they're playing. And you're going to have this behavior rating scale pulled up on a separate device. It can be on your phone, it can be on a tablet, and you're just going to track those behaviors on that separate device as they're playing. You're going to make sure to input those behaviors on the screen whenever they're done. And what you're going to come back and do is you're going to make sure you click on reset to start a new game once you've inputted that into the computer on that specific game, and then you're going to have it ready for the next game that your student is going to start to play. So after you've inputted that information on their computer, you're going to click on submit. The data's updating in the bottom right-hand corner. Let's go to that current game result. Okay, remember, I played for 44 seconds. This is my data. And of that time, I was 75% attentive. I completed only 8% of that task. I didn't complete the whole thing. And my recovery time, remember, that is the moment that you lost your attention until you regained it back. So it was 4.37 seconds for me. And then if you input those behaviors that you were tracking on that behavior rating chart, you'll be able to see that information right here on the right. You're going to scroll down. You're going to click on back to games, and then you're going to have the rest of those games for that game session to complete. Once all of your games are completed, you are going to come up here, click on log out,
You did it!
and I completed my game goal. So I got a little shout out. And then this is the journal that's going to come up. So remember, fill out this journal. Great time for reflection on that session because you're going to see it whenever you log in for that next session. And after you've entered that information, close session and log out. And then you are done with your play attention session.